Over the past 10 years, there seems to have been a shift away from just having hobbies. At least there was here in the US. Instead, it was replaced by this idea that anything you're good at or spend your free time doing should be monetized in some way. A hustle and grind culture. A culture that pushed this ideology that if you're not making extra money from what you're doing, then you're wasting your time. Luckily, in the last few years, we've seen a slow shift away from this hustle and grind culture that has led so many people to burnout and just a distaste for what they once loved to do. In an age of what seems like constant stress and anxiety, the simple joy of a hobby has so much more to offer when it doesn't become your second job.
The moment something becomes a significant source of your income, your relationship with it changes. I used to think that as long as I had a job doing something that I loved or I was passionate about, I would be happy. So I went to film school and got my degree, and then I got a job in the industry doing what I was so passionate about, but then my relationship with it changed. Now there were expectations, and regardless of how I was feeling that day, I still had to show up to work and I still had to practice that craft. And that leads to this different feeling. Now, don't get me wrong, I still love my job and I still love that I get to make a living doing something that I'm really passionate about. But the fact of the matter is that if I don't have other things that I can lean on, other things where I can be creative without these expectations, I'm just gonna burn out. I think a good analogy for this idea is a chef. A chef will spend hours each day preparing amazing food for the guests at their restaurant. But when they go home, oftentimes they'll just make whatever's around to refuel themselves. They're not making these crazy dishes for themselves to eat because they simply don't have the energy for that anymore. The last thing you want to do after spending 8, 10, 12 hours doing something is to then get home and do it again. But a home cook that is really passionate about the food that they're eating is gonna go home after work each day and spend the time to make these elaborate dishes because that's what brings them joy. That's where they find happiness. It's just a different connection to this same thing. One is a professional connection where you're making your livelihood doing it and you still love it, but in a different way. And another is a hobby that brings a different sort of joy and a different sort of connection to it. Even outside of just helping you not burn out of whatever it is you're passionate about, hobbies have a ton of benefits. These things that we're passionate about, that we have an interest in, that we connect with, can help us meet other people, create new relationships, and improve our mental well-being. If you're interested in pottery or ceramics and you start going to a pottery class, you'll meet new people who have interests in the same things that you like. And these hobbies can help us take life a little less seriously. They can help us find the joy in the slow improvement that comes with time and practice. And sometimes we just need a way to disconnect our brain from the things that we do day in and day out and refresh our connection with the world around us and the people that are in it. So make time for your hobbies. Try something new that you've been interested in. It doesn't have to be a scheduled thing where you spend a certain amount of time each day doing this at this exact time. And honestly, it's probably better if it isn't scheduled. But just give yourself the time to do something that simply makes you happy.